Hey everybody, it is Brandon Foster, the owner and founder of Magic Land Vacations, and I'm here to welcome you to a very special live webinar event. This is our Epic Castles of Europe webinar where we are going to be sharing an incredible personalized itinerary where we are going to explore the most incredible castles in England and Europe that have a lot of history behind them, as well as some very iconic filming locations like Harry Potter and The Crown. And I'm super excited for this. And I would like to start off today by introducing two of our very special guests. The first person I would like to introduce is Chad Long. Hi, Chad. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Super excited. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk to everybody about this cool trip we put together.
Absolutely. So if you are new to our world, our sphere, Chad Long is our business partner with Europe Express, which specializes in custom European itineraries. And they have helped us put together this incredible package. And so he is going to be actually walking us through this itinerary day by day. Now, before we get started with that, we got to also introduce our epic travel planning genie, Derek, who is the mastermind behind this trip because it was his wild childhood obsession of castles and lore and medieval history who helped put this trip together, and that is Derek Bacon. Derek, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, Brandon. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Now, before we hand it over to Chad to walk us through our itinerary, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about why you're so passionate about this trip yourself and why you wanted to plan this?
Yeah, of course. So as you said, I have always been passionate about history. I started my journey with colonial American history, but then it quickly sort of went backwards, and I got interested in Europe and specifically England. And I have been fortunate enough to be really close friends with people who studied abroad at my college. And I have kept those connections. Couple friends in particular are like family to me, and we try to see each other about every 18 months. And I've been to their homeland 3 times, and every time I've fallen more and more in love with the culture and the sites, the history, and the accessibility of sort of dipping my toes into European travel. And I kept hearing from a lot of people, I really want to go to Europe. I'm just not sure. It would be really cool to see some castles. I received an email from a gentleman before we even started planning this that was like, I want to see castles. I don't speak any other languages. I don't know where to go. Is England like reachable? So that was kind of the catalyst of like starting to come up with this idea of like, hey, people want to travel, but they may not want to travel alone. Or like if you're single, it's a great way to like travel with people. It's also a great way to bring your friends along. So that's kind of where this all came from.
I love that. I love that. Fun fact, I actually lived abroad too. I actually lived in London towards the West End area. And I studied abroad for a full semester when I was getting my master's in screenwriting from Florida State University. And that is when I got to visit the Tower of London for the very first time, Chad. And it's not on our itinerary to go to get Uncle Ben's cookies and hot chocolate. However, we can make that we can make that happen. But I'm super excited about this because there is one thing that I wasn't able to do when I was studying abroad, and I didn't get to visit all the castles that I wanted to visit. So for me, I'm really, really excited about this too, and I know don't hate me for saying this, but sometimes the things that people think are so cool, I just don't think it's cool. Like, I know a lot of people love Stonehenge, but like, I remember people were like, we got to go see Stonehenge. Like all my other people I was studying with. And I was like, well, what is Stonehenge? They're like, they're the oldest rocks in the world. They're like the oldest known thing of civilization. And they showed me a picture. And I go, yeah, good. Like I have no desire to see Stonehenge. So I know some of you all might really love Stonehenge, but that is not a huge love of mine. But of course, we can make it happen for anybody. But I'm excited. Let's dig right into this. If you, oh, by the way, Derek, you have some fans already saying hello. We got Terry saying hello. We have Jane saying hello as well. They're happy you're both here. I believe those are maybe some travelers that have already registered for the trip, which is incredible. So welcome y'all to the Castles of Europe Live. We'd love to hear where you're joining us from. Let us know in the comments. And as Chad begins his incredible itinerary and presentation, if you have any questions, put them in the comments section. Derek and Chad will be monitoring that. And I'm going to step away to mind the PowerPoint and the slideshow. So thank you, Chad. Thank you, Derek, for being here. I'll pop in towards the end there.
All right. Thank you guys so much for signing on today. Really excited to talk to you again about this itinerary that Derek and I have been working on, collaborating recently on this amazing Scotland and England castle extravaganza. I'm pretty excited because I actually didn't realize that you guys had studied abroad in London too, but I studied abroad in London for a whole semester myself when I was in my undergrad at Florida State University as well. So London definitely has a very special place in my heart, and this was a really fun trip to put together. Did want to just kind of also say, like, as a quick introduction for myself, I've been with Europe Express now for about 3 years as a business development manager. Definitely has kept me on my toes and opened the doors to quite a lot of amazing travel experiences. I'm based down in St. Petersburg, Florida. We're getting our first cold night tonight, so I'm pretty excited about that. Definitely feels a little bit more European because it's always so hot in Florida and always so nice and chilly in Europe. So definitely have the atmosphere set for tonight. But excited to kind of start talking about the itinerary and go day to day. So we'll go ahead and get started. Next slide. And of course, already did my intro, but this is kind of the game plan for the night. Just a quick glance at the itinerary. And I do want to say I am battling a little bit of a tech problem myself with my my computer. It's been kind of on and off a lot today. So for the bulk of the presentation, I'm going to kill the camera. I hope that's okay. Don't miss me too much, but I will be popping back on at the end. But just kind of a quick little glimpse into our itinerary. This is kind of like the game plan where we're going to take a quick journey through England, through Ireland, just go over a lot of the cities that we'll visit, share a few insider tips for travel, and then open it up for questions. So of course, by the end, my goal is that you'll be asking, where do I sign up? You'll be hitting up Derek, asking to put down your credit card information so we can get the deposit and get you locked in for this amazing extravaganza. So the itinerary starts over in London, where of course we'll dive into some royal history, we'll see some iconic landmarks, and then we'll wind through England's countryside full of rolling green hills, ancient castles, before crossing over into Scotland, where things might get a little bit more dramatic and mysterious, but in the best possible way. So day one, this is our arrival day in London. Of course, as we welcome you to the capital city of England, you'll check into your hotel, stretch your legs a bit, maybe grab your first proper cup of British tea, or maybe opt for a beer. I won't judge. I've had plenty of long travel days to Europe before. So whichever way you want to go, definitely just take some time to unpack, kind of catch your breath a little bit after a long travel day. And then that evening, we will gather for a welcome dinner at a local restaurant. It's the perfect way to get to know your fellow travelers who will quickly start feeling like you've known them forever. Moving on to day two, and today, of course, is all about the royals, past and present. So we'll start with exploring the epic Windsor Castle, which is still used by the king and has enough grandeur to make Downton Abbey look quite modest. And then it's on to the Hampton Court Palace, which is super cool because this is home to Henry VIII. And yes, I do mean that Henry VIII. So let's just say, if these walls could talk, they'd probably have quite the soap opera to share with us. And then afterwards, we'll have the evening free to explore London on your own. So I might recommend catching a show, grabbing dinner at a cozy pub. The choice is totally up to you. But then the next day, over on day three, if you like a little intrigue, this day is definitely going to be more for you. So on day 3, we'll take a tour of the Tower of London, which is home to the crown jewels, and quite a few ghost stories, I might like to add. The beef feeder guides are half historians, half stand-up comedians. They're all fantastic storytellers, so we're sure to get a wealth of knowledge from our guides there. And then we do have another free afternoon here as well. So once we've done that morning tour, you'll be free to roam the streets on your own as well. Maybe stroll along the Thames Path, which is a great long-distance trail that runs alongside the river here. Or you could go to the London Eye and take a ride on that. It's kind of like just like a massive Ferris wheel, if anyone's seen pictures of it before. Great chance to get some amazing photos. You can enjoy those sweeping city views, but definitely think that the London Eye is something you should hit during the free time, since we are not planning to visit it as one of the group activities. But moving on to day 4, this is when we kind of leave the city behind and we trade it in, for those green rolling hills and beautiful nature scenes. So on day 4, the first stop is Warwick Castle, which is a true medieval fortress with dungeons, towers, and the kind of overall splendor that really just makes you feel like you've stepped right into a fantasy novel or a video game. And then after that, we arrive in Harrogate, which is a really cute little spa town where we'll enjoy dinner together, and then we'll be spending the night in Harrogate as well to rest up for our big day that is to come. So day 5, this is when we visit the town of York. And York is one of those places that just makes you feel like you've walked right through some sort of time machine. The history here is incredibly rich. You'll visit the York Minster. We can climb Clifford's tower for panoramic views. We'll stroll down the Chamblais, which inspired Diagon Alley and Harry Potter. So if you are a Harry Potter fan, you'll definitely recognize one of these places that we'll be stopping on the group tour. And then afterwards, we have a free afternoon here in York to explore at your own pace. I suggest maybe popping into a local tea room or trying a traditional Yorkshire pudding, which I was not really sure what that was at first, but essentially it's just a big savory pancake covered in gravy. And it definitely is as good as it sounds. Moving on to day 6, Harry Potter to the Highlands. This is a really fun travel day with a little bit of a twist. This is when we actually leave England and we head north up towards Scotland. So we'll make our first pit stop at the Alnwick Castle, which you might recognize as the Hogwarts Castle from the first 2 Harry Potter films. It didn't make it past the first 2 films. I think that the director wanted to move on to something more grand and on a larger scale. So the following films after the second one are filmed somewhere else. But this is a really iconic spot for Harry Potter fans because of those first 2 films. It really is just one of those jaw-dropping places that is just as surreal in real life as it looks on the screen. And then after we visit the castle, it's onward to Edinburgh, where you will definitely feel an immediate change in the atmosphere. It's elegant, it's ancient, and definitely full of stories that are just waiting to be discovered. Day 7, over in Edinburgh. This is, of course, in Scotland. We'll do a guided tour of the city to start the day with before we visit the Holyrood House Palace, which is the King's official residence in Scotland, and the iconic Edinburgh Castle, which is, as you can see pictured here, dramatically atop Castle Rock there. So the views alone will definitely make you want to just move there immediately, or so I've heard. But the pictures that I've seen from some of my friends and colleagues who have traveled to this place, like they really don't have, they can't say more amazing things about it. And then, of course, since this is the final night, then we'll gather for our farewell dinner at the end to celebrate an unforgettable week. Laughters, castles, likely a couple new best friends along for the ride as well. So day 8 is our farewell, and sadly, that's when it is time to say goodbye. So hopefully you go home with some great new stories, some new friendships. If you're anything like me, you'll probably go home with at least 3,000 photos of castle gates and cobblestones and a ton of scenic selfies and, just a lot more amazing memories. So whether this actually concludes your European adventure, or maybe this is simply the start to an extended journey, we're definitely excited that you decided to spend the week joining us to see the beauty and epic architecture that these destinations have to offer. So I did want to do a little bit of a city guide segment, just because I know there is quite a lot of free time on this trip. So I wanted to give you guys some fun facts and maybe name drop a couple cool places around these cities so that maybe if you're having some trouble planning that free time, this will give you a little bit more of an idea. So without further ado, first one is London, which of course is the royal capital of England. And London is a really, really, really big city where every corner has something new to discover. So, of course, you want to see classics like Buckingham Palace, the Tower of London, Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, and these are a lot of places that we'll be seeing as a group on our tours as well. You might even spot a royal or two if we're super, super lucky, although they're not really known for waving from the castle gates. But, it has been told that every now and then you can get a glimpse of one of the royals over at Buckingham Palace. And then definitely don't want to miss the Covent Garden for shopping. There's really interesting street performers there, great people watching, just if anything else. And then something I thought was a really crazy fact about London was that the taxi drivers are actually quizzed and they need to memorize every single street in central London before they are licensed to be a London taxi driver. And that's literally over 25,000 streets. So I need my GPS to go to the gas station down the street. I would probably fail so miserably at a taxi driver exam over in London, but that's why they're the professionals and the ones that take care of getting us from point A to point B. The next stop is York, which we've dubbed England's timeless treasure. And York definitely gets this title because it feels like a living museum. Except there's much better coffee than most museums. It's a really compact, walkable city. It's full of these really interesting medieval winding streets, Viking heritage, and a lot of old English charm. And you can literally walk the original Roman city walls that have stood for centuries. So the history is just super, super rich, like I've mentioned. And when you hear the name Jorvik, that is actually the Viking word for York. So you can technically say you're walking through an ancient Viking capital. And it really just is the perfect mix of history, beauty, and I think just enough quirk to keep you in a good mood. Moving over to Edinburgh, this is the gem of Scotland, and it is the grand finale for our guided trip here. It's a city that really looks like it was designed for movie sets. So the Royal Mile is a nice long trail that connects the castle to the palace, and it is lined with shops selling tartan scarves. There's a really great shortbread that is out of this world. And then I highly would recommend visiting Arthur's Seat for incredible views, great pictures. If you're a Harry Potter fan, again, you'll love knowing that J.K. Rowling actually wrote a lot of the Harry Potter series in cafes in Edinburgh. So you never know if you're kind of following suit in one of those local spots. And then, of course, if you come in August, which you won't be this time, but there is always next time, you'll find yourself in the middle of the world's largest arts festival, which is called the Fringe. So yes, the city definitely knows how to put on a good show. So for packing tips, of course, there's lots of great recommendations here. And there's it's a different world over in Europe than what we're used to over here in the States. So we will be hopping on and off a lot of trains and motor coaches. So definitely, there is a limit to the luggage for this portion of the trip, which would be one checked bag and then one personal item / backpack or purse. But remember, we'll be definitely moving quite a bit on motor coaches and trains. So whatever you feel comfortable with, with those bags. And then, of course, packing for layers. Like I mentioned earlier, it can get quite chilly unexpectedly over in the UK. So if it's a hot day, at least you'll have those layers that you can remove. But it always helps to have those lighter layers on hand. Most of the venues we're visiting will be casual attire, although for some of the cathedral visits, you'll probably want to have a shawl or a scarf handy. Of course, passports and credit cards. Don't be that person that forgets your passport on an overseas trip. I think we all know one person who has done that before. And then the next slide has a picture of the outlet converter that you'll need too. And the UK uses the G outlet converter. So make sure you're grabbing one of those from Amazon or Walmart or somewhere if you don't have one of those already. They're fairly cheap, and you're definitely going to want to have one unless you want your phone charger to explode or your hairdryer to sound like a rocket ship. So definitely good to have that outlet adapter. For tech and currency, of course, the currency over in the UK is the pound. You can get pounds from your bank. You can request them. I would recommend requesting them about 2 weeks prior to leaving if you do want to opt to get your pounds in the States before heading over. But of course, once you land in London, you are welcome to do currency exchange at the airport or at an ATM. Usually, if you do it at the airport, that's the most expensive conversion that there is. So I probably would recommend not doing it right when you land and waiting till you get to town, finding an ATM somewhere, and getting your currency exchange that way. Definitely you want your airline app, money converter apps, that kind of stuff. For culture and etiquette tips, tipping is really not as big of a thing over in Europe as it is here. So if this is your first time going, definitely a helpful tip is that usually at restaurants, they already throw on a 10 to 12% service charge. So check the bill before you add some more. If you feel inclined, you are welcome to add more, but it is not expected. Definitely over at like more of the casual bars and pubs, it's not expected. But if you've received exceptional service or you really liked your bartender, you can always round up a pound or two. Taxis, rounding up to the nearest pound is usually a good idea. If it was a great taxi driver and maybe you had a lot of great insider tips and tricks and you came away with a lot more knowledge than you started with, 10% is a good tip level there. And then for hotels, the porters, they do tend to expect about 1 to 2 pounds per bag. And same with housekeeping. If you want to leave 1 to 2 pounds per night for housekeeping on the bedside table, that's always much appreciated. I know we don't do that as much in the States, tipping the housekeeping and the porters, but it is a little bit more expected over across the pond. Then for dining, really the atmosphere here ranges a lot from like casual to fine dining. Of course, on the free nights, you are welcome to choose whichever type of restaurant you want to go to, be it fancy or super casual. I definitely think that over in Europe, their fashion is a tad more elevated, so maybe smart casual is a good term for what you might want to wear on a day-to-day basis while we're over there. And then I know it's a little weird, but checks are not brought automatically at restaurants when you're dining over there. So you might be sitting around for a long time thinking like, man, did my server forget about me? What's going on? But just know that that's not really part of their culture, and it's totally not rude if you want to wave one down and ask for the bill once you're ready. They don't tend to check on the tables much throughout the dining experience. So feel free to wave them down if it's time to go and you need to get out of there. And then we kind of already touched on this just a tad, but if we are at any cathedrals or churches, it's usually good to have a scarf or a shawl. It's always expected shoulders and knees are covered when in these more religious sites. So definitely make sure you're wearing like longer pants, no tank tops for the gentlemen, closed-toed shoes, and definitely for the ladies, bring a shawl to cover the shoulders once you're inside. But those are only, again, for the days we're visiting more of like those religious sites. And then just personal safety. I mean, this kind of goes for anywhere in the States too, but, keep your head on a swivel, make sure your true valuables are secured in a zipped bag, especially if you are in any sort of public transit. I myself, I have like this little fanny pack I just kind of keep around my chest with all my valuables in there. Passports don't really need to leave the hotel room, especially if there's a safe. So don't really risk, bringing that kind of stuff out and about into the streets. But keep your head on a swivel and just, usually group think. Of course, if the group sticks together, we tend to be pretty good on that. But yeah, just kind of general safety tips for really anywhere in the world. So this is a fun little booking incentive. Derek, I will let you kind of take over from here if you want to talk a little bit about the booking incentive for this upcoming trip.
Sure. So we have a booking incentive for new bookings. If you put your deposit down by December 8th of this year, you get $100 off of your package. And for those that are already registered, we're working on something special for you. But right now, this is only for new bookings. And so how we do the booking process is I have a registration form that you will fill out. Magic Lamp Vacations does charge a planning package separate from the trip package, just to cover a little bit of overhead and provide some very fun surprises for everybody going on the trip. And then the deposit per person when booking this package is $300. So you'll if you put that deposit down before December 8th, you get $100 off of your package.
Very good. So that does kind of bring us now to the end. If there's any questions or anything live, then I'm happy to address them now. Or if you think of something later, you can always reach out to Derek, and he knows how to reach me, so we can always get those forwarded over. But
yeah, absolutely. I gotta say first, thank you so much, Chad, for taking the time today to walk us through that incredible itinerary. I appreciate your brilliance and your knowledge and your expertise in doing that for us. My fingers got a little bit sticky on the PowerPoint, but we did pretty good overall.
You did great.
Yeah, exactly. So let me see if we have any questions right now. It looks like, are pants okay for women in churches?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Jane, for giving us a great question right there. What should we expect the temperature to actually be when we're going, Chad?
The temperature to actually be, so this was, I would probably say like really anywhere from like maybe high 40s to low 70s. I mean, it could be pretty like hot and cold, but I would say like wear layers, wear a t-shirt and then maybe like a jacket over. So if you have to take the jacket off, if it's a little too hot, you're good there. But you never know when you can get a surprise chilly day too. So it helps to have layers.
Yeah. So Terry asked, do you have any arrangements made yet for any optional side trips during our free time?
I have not personally organized any side trips, but if you have something in mind, definitely reach out to Derek, and I'm sure that we're happy to pull something together for you.
Yeah, I do know that one of the options that we did have, Terry, was just on the arrival day, and that was to visit Leaves in Studios for the Harry Potter tour as an option that you could actually add on, because that is something that I did when I studied abroad. I love it. My hubs has never been to it, and I really wanted him to be able to experience that. Dustin said, if we want to deviate off the tour, can we?
Can I chime in on that?
Yes.
So part of the reason why we included so much free time in this itinerary, and let me tell y'all, we went through about 5 revisions of this itinerary before we kind of struck a balance. I'm more of the planner, so I loved the one that was like full day, full day, full day, full day, full day, full day. And Brandon was like, no, like maybe we should give him some free time. And I was like, okay. So we kind of struck this nice little happy balance. So in terms of deviating from the tour, everything that is included in the group you're paying for. So if you don't go there, I guess that's your choice, but you are responsible for your own transportation and your own entertainment elsewhere while the group does what they want to do, and you've already paid for it. So it's kind of silly to book the trip and then say, I don't want to do like 3 of the things on the itinerary, because it's just a waste of your money. And on that note, if you do want your own trip, contact me and we'll do like an individual through Europe Express, which is also available. They're not just a group trip company.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that. I feel like it's a little bit kind of like the cruise ship and the circus. I was a former circus clown, and if you weren't on the train when the train started to leave the station, you had to find out how you're going to get to the city on your own. They were not going to pay for it, right? And same thing with a cruise ship. If you miss the cruise ship boarding time, they're not waiting on you. So it is really, really important that you realize that a lot of these arrangements are not just to help touring in specific sites and places, but also to get us to different cities and locations around England and also Scotland and Edinburgh, right? So the answer is no, you can't. You cannot deviate from the tour. And we have free time built in for you to deviate within the incredible itinerary that Chad and Derek have put together. Terry asks, when will our final payment be due?
April 10th of 2026.
Yeah, so you all can ask for gift cards for Christmas and everything else.
Good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. These are great questions. Thank you, Dustin, for your questions. Thank you, Jane, for your questions. Thank you, Terry, for your questions. All right. If you have any other additional questions, make sure that you all just reach out to Derek. Comment castles below if you want more information on this incredible itinerary. Thank you, Derek, for being here. Thank you, Chad, for being here. And we will see all of you on the flip side.